Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Simone here. Today I'm going to be doing the no disclaimers book tag. I was tagged by Emily from Novelle Novels, so a massive thank you to Emily. I really like this tag because basically you answer the questions and you don't give any disclaimers because it's always good. So yeah, I think the original tag of this was created by Catalyst Reads, but I don't think the video is available anymore. Yeah, I will have linked Emily's video though down below for you. There are 7 questions, so let's get started. So the first question is, which trope or tropes in books annoy you the most? I have 3 answers for this one. The first one for me is when people who have had or have a mental illness, in a sort of, mainly in thrillers really, but they're not believed because of that. Like when they say, I think you're having a bit of a breakdown again like you did before, when actually they've seen something or whatever. Like the classic example, the most recent one that I've read of that is The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. The main character is an agoraphobic and she has had like a nervous breakdown before, and she sees something and nobody believes her because, you know, she's had a breakdown before, so of course she's mental. She can't possibly have actually seen something. So yeah, that is a trope that really winds me up. Second one is when either a guy or a girl is saved by their romance, even though they've got like a mental or physical problem, like an illness, and suddenly everything's great again, even though like they have a mental illness or they have a physical illness. It's not going to suddenly go away just because they've fallen in love with someone. So yeah, that annoyed me. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I really hate it when that happens. And the third one I have to talk about is girl hate. Now, I know that sometimes in books the whole point is like you're trying to show like things that actually happen, but it's not actually the girl hate that annoys me, although it does get me a little bit like, why do girls do that in books? Like, why do they have to hate each other? What annoys me is when it's never called out in the same way, actually, not just girl hate, but also like when people are racist or sexist or homophobic or whatever in books and it's never called out. Like, it's never like, this is a problem, this is wrong. They just, yes, okay, there's characters where that will be their mindset, and obviously that's, you're never going to read characters that are 100% perfect all the time. That's not the point of books, and that wouldn't be interesting. But I feel like if someone says something homophobic or sexist or racist or, you know, whatever, they should then be called out, or it should be like, this is a problem, this is wrong, rather than just letting them get away with it. So yeah, that's my answer for that. Question number 2, which writer or writers do you feel are overrated or overhyped? Now for me that's 2 different questions, so I'm going to start with my overrated authors. Basically for me, an overhyped author is one I still like, but I feel like isn't as good as people say they are. They're talked about too much. They're not like the best ever writer, and yet they're talked about as if they are. And an overrated author is somebody who people like that I personally don't like, and I think that they don't I don't understand why people like them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So overrated, so the ones that I don't like are, the first one is Sarah Dessen. I read, was it This Lullaby by Sarah Dessen, and I really hated it. I didn't even hate it, I just really didn't like it that much. And I just didn't understand why she's such a wonderful author. I mean, I obviously need to read more of her books, and to be honest, the 3 that I'm going to say now that I think are overrated, I've only read one or 2 of their books. So I obviously can't like comment, I suppose, really, but for the book that I read, it was nothing special for Sarah Dessen. The second one is Jan Martel, who wrote Life of Pi. I really didn't like the Life of Pi book. I much preferred the movie, although I didn't particularly enjoy that either. And I don't really understand why everybody's like obsessed with him. And then the third one is, wait for it, J.R.R. Tolkien. I don't understand why J.R.R. Tolkien is like revered when for me his writing is overly flowery and just, I find it so hard to get through. I like The Hobbit, but I don't think it's like the best book ever written. I really don't understand people's obsession with it. So then we're going to talk about overhyped authors. So these are people who I think are good authors, but I wouldn't say they're not as good as people make them out to be. Like, they're not like amazing, like, you know, they walk on water and stuff, like worship the ground they walk on. So the first one of those for me is Jeanette Walls, who wrote The Glass Castle. I liked The Glass Castle, I didn't love it, and yet it's been made into a movie and everybody's obsessed, and I feel like you can't say anything wrong, and I mean, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Next up is Stephanie Meyer, who wrote the Twilight series and The Host. I like the series, I just don't understand where it went from like, it's really good, to it's amazing, like everybody go crazy about it, because, you know, I mean, it's good, but it's not like beyond amazing. And then the third one is J.K. Rowling. I love Harry Potter, but I think a lot of it is nostalgia. If I'm honest, like I have to think like to myself, honestly, if I read that series, like, you know when people say, I wish I could like re-experience the whole thing as if I've never read it before. I don't want that, because I think if I did, I wouldn't like it as much. I'd be like, oh, okay, it's just another book. Oh, I kind of hate myself right now. But it's true, like, it's great. I love Harry Potter, but a lot of it is nostalgia that's attached to it from when I read it. And a lot of the other books that she's written have not been like a star. They've been okay. So that's what I'm going to say there. Question number 3 is, what are your least favourite books that you've read since joining BookTube? The first one I want to talk about is The Witnesses by James Patterson. I really like James Patterson's writing, but because I watch BookTube or whatever, I was inspired to read some other books of his rather than his series, which I tend to find I like. I was reading, it was a standalone, The Witnesses, and I really didn't like it. In fact, I hated it. It was really, I didn't see the point of it. To me, it was just like, you've written a book for no apparent reason. It didn't make any sense. It wasn't like interesting, and yeah, for me that was terrible. I also hated The Maze Runner by James Dashner. I buddy read this with my boyfriend and he DNF'd it because he hated it. I finished it because I wanted to have finished it, but oh my goodness me, it's such a bad book, and I only read it because people kept saying, like, it was very mixed on BookTube, I think. People liked it or they hated it, I think. I hated it personally. I found the writing to be really juvenile, and I just didn't understand. They kept repeating themselves, and the language that they used is like their insults to each other so they didn't have to swear. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. In fact, I hated it. So yeah, not a fan of that one. And then the third one that I read because of BookTube was You by Carolyn Kepnes. I, again, don't like this book at all. I haven't watched the TV series. Maybe I'll like it more. I still think I'm going to think it's Daniel from Gossip Girl, so I don't know. I did not enjoy the fact that this glorified stalking. This made me angry, and everyone said to me, oh, it makes you really love Joe, the main character. No, I don't understand why you'd like him. I don't get it. I hated it. Question number 4 is a terrible ending that ruined an otherwise quality book, and for me that was More Than This by Patrick Ness. I actually quite enjoyed the beginning of this book. It's like a sci-fi story where a guy starts off by drowning and then he wakes up and there's nobody there and he's in this place that he sort of remembers but doesn't. It's a very complicated story. The ending I hated. It suddenly went like weird and I didn't understand it. I thought it was going in a completely different direction and then just suddenly flipped, and I was like, wait, what? So yeah, I hated the ending. I would have liked the book otherwise, but yeah, I think I'd give it like 2 stars. I really didn't enjoy it. Question number 5 is, which fictional characters do you wish were not killed off? I'm just going to say very quickly, there will be a spoiler warning for The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I'll put the book on the screen. When it goes away, you can come back because I don't want to spoil anyone. I'm going to say Kelsier from The Final Empire. I was gutted. I loved reading about him. I think he's a great character, and Vin and him got on really well, and there was just a great chemistry and a great relationship between the two. And then when he died, I was like, what? Huh? I don't understand. So yeah, that was that one. And the other one is actually a character that dies before the book starts, so this is not a spoiler. This is the dad from Geekerella. Now I realise the whole point of the Geekerella story is that her dad died, but I just love her so much that I want her to be happy and have her dad with her, and I think, so he didn't die in the book, he obviously died before the book started, so, but yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I just think it would have been so nice to read about her and her dad's like together and stuff, which I realise again was not the point of the book at all, but that's what I'm going to go with anyway. Question number 6 is, what are some of your bookish pet peeves? I've done a video all about my bookish pet peeves, so I will link that down below. But 3 that I want to talk about this sort of physical book rather than things in books, like tropes I guess, are stickers on books. Why do you do stickers on books? I hate that so much. Stop doing it. And even worse than that, don't like put an actual picture on the book that looks like a sticker, because I think to myself, at least with a sticker I can try and take it off. If you put like a award symbol or something on it, that's just annoying because it will never come off. It's meant to stay on there. People talking when you're reading. I hate when people do that, and they can see that you're reading and they still talk to you. It's like, why are you doing this to me? Do you hate me so much that you need to talk to me when I'm reading? I mean, I can forgive people if I'm reading on my Kindle app on my phone because it probably just looks like I'm talking like on the phone. But if I'm reading a physical book, go away. And then another one is when people hate your favourite book and you just kind of want to bury them slightly and just forget about them and think that they're not there, because you don't want to hear anyone bad-mouthing your favourite book. Question number 7, and the final question, is what are some books you feel deserve more recognition? The first series I want to talk about, I actually have the 4th book here, but it's the series in general, and it is the Undead series by Mary Janice Davidson. This is a wonderful series. It is a vampire book, but it's a funny vampire book. It's about Betsy Taylor, who is a vampire, and she is like in love with shoes, and she's really into fashion, and yeah, it's so funny, and it's a bit of sexy time in there as well if you just fancy a bit of that as well. So yeah, I love this series. I think the first one was Undead and Unwed, and then there was Undead and Unemployed, and the third one was Undead and Unreturnable. This one is Undead and Unappreciated, and you get the kind of gist of it. Love this. I thought it was really funny, and I can't wait to read this particular one because this is the 4th one and I haven't read this one yet. And then the other one is more like an author as opposed to a specific book, but I'm talking about Debbie Macomber's books. I think she's wonderful. She writes kind of like adult contemporary books that are kind of happy and also a little bit sad, and there's lots of things that happen, and I just love her writing in general. They generally all link together, and there's sort of characters from each story that kind of like filter into other stories, and I love that. So yeah, definitely an author I love and I wish that people would read more of. So then we're on to the people I tag, and I tag Charlie from Charlie Brooke, Anna from Anna Francesca, and Ashley from A Frolic Through Fiction. I hope that you guys do this video. I really love it, so I'm sure that you will too, and I would love to hear your answers. So also now going on to the shout out of the video, and today I want to shout out Myona from Little Wolf Reads. I love Myona's channel. I think she's amazing. She is a channel that is so honest, sometimes to a fault, but she's really honest, and I think she says what she thinks. If you don't like what she thinks, that's up to you, but she will tell you. It's not like she won't tiptoe around the subject, like she'll say what she's thinking. She does a lot of wonderful videos, and I just love to hear her talk about books in general. So definitely a channel that you need to check out if you haven't already, and send her some love. Let me know in the comments down below which fictional characters you wished weren't killed off, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!